because as I said, changing any mechanics, introducing some mechanics that affect the whole game, sometimes happens. And premium ships, we try not to affect them in any negative way when possible, but sometimes we have to do it. So if anything will be broken in terms of balance, we may readdress it. But right now we think that due to a low number of planes in squadron, that will be a fine solution.
Well, one of the questions asked by, well, most of the main carrier players in my clan is, um, what is Wargaming's vision for carriers in this game beyond 0.6.3? Now, I'm not asking for any specific details, what you possibly cannot say or can say, but a general idea of where you wish to head with carriers. What's the future of carriers in World of Warships?
Well, we probably sometimes we're notorious for bringing some very strong ideas and forcing them to players. But I should say that when I mentioned carrier rework, I also said that we have to work some concept and to present it to players, because this rework, this future, is not formed only by us. It will be formed by players. Because we can have some very wonderful concept for carriers, and then players just it won't work in real life. This is why all this talk about future carrier work is very, very preliminary right now. I can say that we're thinking in different directions, and these are only the examples of what we are thinking about. So please don't take it, as something that is set in plans and will be implemented in any way. But we are thinking about several interesting features for carriers, like actually replenishing your hangar in battle, like making not the, not very efficient and stupid automatic attack and very skill dependent and very different manual attack, making one type of attack instead, but with with variable difficulty. So there is one type of attack, but skilled players can do this one type of attack in more skilled way and have better results, and novice can do it easier and have worse results. Well, just like actually aiming your guns. So you have the same guns as your opponent, but it's the way you aim, compensate for target movement, and choose the right shell, and this is the result. So we're thinking about making this universal attack with variable difficulty. So it will be skill dependent, but universal, because we don't feel that having two absolutely different types of attack really helps the learning curve. This is why I said that current CV changes are not rework. They're just intended to make the current situation better, but we have some interesting plans for the future. And also we're thinking about AA mechanics, because currently we see that anti-air sometimes tends to be very black and white. Either you actually shoot down many planes or you don't shoot anything down. If you have some very weak anti-air, as you know, planes don't have HP right now.
No,
They
RNG
mecha-
based.
the, yeah, RNG
Yeah.
based with some frequency of shooting down the plane. This is why the squadron actually can go to you. If you have weak AA, you can shoot at it like for 30 seconds, then it goes out of your range and
And
it's
it's
not
full
damaged.
HP basically, yeah.
Yeah, it's full HP. On the other hand, when different ships with weak AA try to order, they're not very efficient either, because each of them has their own separate RNG generator assigned to the squadron they're shooting at, and this is why it's not very efficient. So we're thinking also about AA mechanics to make it more consistent, more predictable, so actually carriers will be able to control better, and the actually those who are protecting from CVs will be able to predict some results either. So these are some thoughts that we have and some concepts we work on. What actually How many of these concepts will make to any kind of public test? Well, I don't know right now, but we're thinking in these directions. And also, of course, we're thinking about balancing loadouts better, if I may say so, because I definitely think you are going to ask this question. Yes, we are thinking about balancing loadouts better, but actually, with all these changes we have in mind, that will seem like rather small change,
Okay,
but
well,
but but important as well.
indeed, indeed. Of course, midway loadouts and such are quite common questions, or in general, U.S. carrier loadouts are a common thorn, so to say. I know that IGN carriers are much more popular right now, at least in any sort of skilled hands. But of course, the averages might differ since, as far as I know, the US ships are easier to plane. But you will be looking at loadouts, as you said, and of course, if you are removing RNG, I assume that's something that will make a lot of people happy because the whole RNG-ness of anti-air is very hard to play around since you always get unpredictable results. Anyway, that was all the questions I had about carriers, so now we go things about the future. How satisfied are you guys over at Wargaming with the new skill tree? Are there any more plans or any more changes planned for it in the future? I will mention that I personally really like the new skill tree, except for RPF. But other than that, there's a lot more variety, and I've enjoyed it. How is it at your end?
Oh, finally, the question I can be actually relaxed about,
Oh,
because because yes, we are satisfied with this one. I think we managed to did this one very good. I actually think we do some mistakes, have to make some tweaks from time to time, but this one was very good, despite of all this RPF outrage.
indeed. So you are no real big changes planned in that sense then.
Well, as you understand, any impactful change of skill tree means full crew respect once
Indeed,
again.
indeed.
And while we are absolutely not against giving these respects generously to whole server, actually, for first time we did it, it was treated very positively, like, wow, respect for free, very nice. Then it got worse because people who have huge collections of ships and many captains, they're very annoyed by the need to respec every time. This is why we try to balance this second edition of skill tree as much as we can, and for now we see that we managed to hit the target, that there are some really different loadouts, much more variety in the new skill tree. There are no some overpowered skills, and actually there are some situational skills like RPF, like torpedo acceleration, that you probably won't take on all your favorite ships. But on the other hand, I think the majority of skills are quite useful.
Indeed. It's certainly better than the old build where getting a 15-point concealment expert captain instantly was the only thing that mattered. Anyway, moving on.
I will
Well,
just jump in again. What do you still have against RPF actually? Because I
well,
was
it kind of kills all dynamic play in any sort of competitive setting, which is why I don't enjoy it. Flanking tactics and such are really not well. They don't work in ranked at all because it's pretty much mandatory for both destroyers in ranked or in competitive teams to run RPF because it gives them so much information.
So you encountered RPF and ranked often?
Well, this is competitive. I ran it myself for my Shiratsuyu when I played ranked this season because, well, it also gave a ton of information in solo ranked as well. Well, you could basically get away with capping, getting a free cap since you knew that there was no one there. You could play recklessly in ways you can't otherwise because of the additional free quotation mark free information you're being given.
Yeah, that was actually going to be my point because I was running it on, well, mostly on my Shiratsu in ranked as well, and it actually did help me in flanking because, well, I can avoid the big bets, DD hunters, and
Indeed, but then again, if the DD hunters run it as well, then life becomes very, very hard.
Well, I'm very happy to live in Russian meta because playing on my Shiratsuyu in ranked battles, I was never RPF'd, not a single time. And then I actually got RPF'd on my Grozavoy in random battles, yesterday, I believe it was yesterday, and it really had an impact for me, but I actually encounter it very, very rarely. But on the other hand, again, we're returning to this issue you mentioned, that competitive environment
Are different. They're different.
is different, and we need to actually we need to think about it more, because we want to the game to be healthy and enjoyable in all environments. We cannot just abandon competitive and only care for random battles, and vice versa.
Exactly.
So that's an interesting topic for probably a separate discussion or for some thoughts.
Moving on about different game modes. In World of Tanks, players have the option to deselect which battles modes they wish to engage in. Is there any plans for warships to implement the same system? Because, for example, Epicenter and Bastion weren't exactly that positively received. And for example, I personally really dislike standard battles and would love to be able to deselect those. Is there any plans to give the players this option?
Right now, we are more inclined to remove the unliked modes, because why have them in game? Yes, it took us quite a long time to remove Bastion. Sorry for that, but we needed to be sure, because moving in and out is not very good practice. It's better to be sure and to make some meaningful conclusions for the future. But right now, actually any option to turn on or off any modes will really result in larger queues, and actually our matchmaking will be worse. As for standard battle, well, I personally can agree with you. I don't enjoy it either. And actually, we were going to remove it completely, but our research that we did specifically for this case indicated that, unfortunately, for me personally, I think, well, there is quite large group of players that enjoy this mode. Probably it's connected with World of Tanks legacy, and I'm meaning on all regions, not only on Ru region. There is World of Tanks legacy, and people just used to this concept, and they enjoy it greatly. Well, it's not the time to remove it completely, but we try to minimize its impact, because we think that domination is probably the best mode.
Indeed.
And Epicenter has some issues, but it's kind of perspective mode that can be improved, because we actually wanted to improve Bastion as well, but then we understood that our improvements are too small, and the concept needs to be reworked completely. So this is why I removed it. And as for Epicenter, probably it's not as bad as you actually think, but it's your personal opinion.
Yeah, well, honestly, the value of Epicenter, this kind of leads into my next question. Epicenter is very map dependent, and some of the higher tier maps aren't exactly popular. For example, Tears of the Desert, which happens to be an Epicenter map. Are you aware of some of the criticism aimed at the very open maps like Mountain Range and Tears of the Desert, and these very, very open maps that have very little cover, Okinawa, such maps?
Yeah, our team of level designers usually requests much feedback from community, I mean forums and so on, and they also normally try to squeeze some questions about maps in surveys, because obviously community feedback is very important, especially from experienced players who know the tactics and so on. But we also need to, make some quite broad surveys to cover the most part of audience as well, who do not visit forum. We are aware of several issues, and I think it's been quite a long time we did not release any very new improvements for existing maps and modes. I think we'll do it in some time.
Okay. A question here about cruisers. A common complaint is the inability to really kit out your consumables before a fight. You pick Hydro, you end up against the carrier, you're quite helpless. You pick defensive AA, there's no carrier, you feel a bit useless. Some of the suggestions have been adding an additional consumable slot and other similar ideas. Is this something you are aware of, that this is a frustrating issue for many players?
We are aware of these idea in the community. We also heard some idea about choosing actually carrier loadout before the battle and so on. Right now, we're more inclined to try to make all builds work in most battles than to give this option, really. For example, we are not satisfied with that air carriers are not present in all high-tier battles. We would like them to be more consistently present, and we hope to increase their popularity by changing and improving them. Uh, and this will be good for carriers, and at the same time this will be good for ships that try to spec in AA, and then they will have something to shoot down. This is what our general direction probably goes right now.
Okay. Is there any plans to further incentivize team play in random battles? For example, rewards for smoking up allies or providing defensive AA for allies, even if you don't shoot down planes. Blocking caps from being captured, like just physically blocking them by being in the cap, and such things. Team play focused plays. Is there any plans to reward players more for this?
Blocking the caps is rewarded,
Oh,
actually.
okay.
Yeah, actually, the more time you spend blocking it, the more you're rewarded. So it is counted in the rewards.
Oh, I didn't know. It doesn't show, I think, anywhere in the
Yeah,
stats.
we are not showing the immediate implications of your actions for economy. We are showing like ribbons, damage, and so on, but we're not showing that you get 5 experience for doing this. We don't do this. It's out of our concept, but it is rewarded. I think we actually made an article on economy several months ago where I tried to describe all activities that are rewarded, and some of the team. Actually, some of the team-dependent and team play activities are not rewarded. Like you mentioned, smoking your allies. It is not rewarded in any way right now. So I think we still have some work to do here. But actually, it's very difficult to determine whether you really helped someone by smoking him or not. The challenge of some of these activities is that shooting down a plane or taking potential damage or actually blocking a cap is obviously a good thing. You can reward player without any doubt. And as for some other actions, they are more situational, and it's sometimes very difficult to determine automatically whether you was helpful or not helpful. But we definitely will think about it. And as for other team play aspects, we probably mentioned radio commands with you. I think it's quite
Indeed.
important to have meaningful and useful quick communication on battle for team play, and we'll be working on it, and I hope we'll issue some kind of